Welcome back, everyone. Today's deep dive, I'm really excited about this one. We're diving into the world of Thai politics and economics.
Yeah, it's a really interesting situation over there. It's a country, really grappling with a struggling economy after COVID and a public that's kind of yearning for change, looking for a new direction. And into that comes this really bold new policy, the digital wallet scheme.
Okay, so we've got our work cut out for us today. We've got a stack of articles here. We've got stuff on the digital wallet scheme itself, some background on former Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin, and then to top it all off, a couple of pieces from Time magazine just to give us that kind of, global perspective. So where do we even begin?
Well, I think to really wrap our heads around this, we've got to start with the setting, right? Imagine Thailand after COVID. Tourism, which is a huge part of their economy, it's still recovering. And you've got high public debt, slow growth. There's this palpable sense of discontent, especially among the younger generation.
Yeah, and you can understand why, right? I mean, they're the ones facing this future, potentially with fewer job opportunities than previous generations. The cost of living is rising everywhere, and they look at the system, and it feels like, maybe the deck is stacked against them.
Exactly. And they've been pretty vocal about wanting change. Remember those pro-democracy protests a few years back? That energy, that desire for a system that actually works for them, it's really important context for everything that happens next.
Okay, so that brings us to the digital wallet scheme, which is like, what? Pheu Thai's big, bold plan to kind of jolt the economy back to life.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, we're talking about a direct 10,000 handout to, get this, eligible citizens. That's potentially 45 million people.
Whoa, hold on. 45 million people. That's how much money are we talking about here?
It's a massive amount. We're talking about a total of about 450 billion.
Wow. Okay, so they're not messing around. And the goal here is to, just encourage people to go out and spend, boost that GDP.
That's a big part of it, yeah. The idea is that this injection of cash will stimulate spending, get those wheels of commerce turning again. But it's also about more than that. They're hoping to promote digital payments, kind of accelerate that whole transition towards a cashless society.
Right. Modernize the system.
Yeah.
I mean, on the surface, it sounds almost too good to be true, right?
Yeah.
Free money. Who wouldn't be on board with that?
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it's not that simple. There's got to be a catch.
There are definitely catches. First off, not everyone qualifies. You have to be a Thai citizen, at least 16 years old. There are these income thresholds you have to meet, and your bank accounts can't have more than 500,000.
Okay, so they're trying to target it to those who need it most, prevent the super rich from cashing in. But how do you even keep track of how 45 million people are spending this money? That just seems, I don't know, impossible to monitor.
Yeah, that's the million, or should I say the billion baht question. There are restrictions, of course. You have a 6-month time limit to spend the money. You can only use it within a certain geographical area. And there are some items that are completely off limits.
Off limits?
Yeah.
What can't you buy with your free government money?
Well, for starters, you can't buy diamonds. Or kratom, for that matter.
Wait, hold on. No diamonds. I get wanting to prevent people from just blowing it all on frivolous stuff, but diamonds, that seems oddly specific.
It does, doesn't it? But it really highlights the challenges of designing and implementing a scheme this massive. And that's what critics are really worried about. They're saying it's going to be incredibly difficult to truly target this aid to those who need it most, and even harder to prevent misuse or, straight up corruption.
Right, because there are always going to be people trying to game the system. Right. Find those loopholes, make a quick buck. It sounds like a real tightrope walk, both logistically and economically.
It gets even more complicated, yeah.
Okay, hit me.
So, Srettha, the prime minister, he was removed from office.
Removed? What happened? Did he get caught spending those digital baht on a lifetime supply of Chang beer? What happened?
Not quite. It wasn't about the money itself, actually. It was an ethics violation. Remember those concerns about Thaksin pulling strings?
Yeah, kind of hard to forget about that.
Right. So Srettha, he goes and appoints this minister who had been jailed, get this, for bribery. And, well, that raised some eyebrows, to say the least.
Yeah, one too many questionable connections there.
Exactly. And the kicker is, it was the Constitutional Court that stepped in. They ruled against Srettha, and boom, just like that, his time as prime minister is over.
Hold on. The court can just remove a prime minister like that. I mean, that's some serious power.
Oh, yeah. The Constitutional Court in Thailand, they've got a long history of, let's just say, intervening in politics. They've dissolved parties before, blocked election winners from taking office. It's kind of a pattern in Thailand, unfortunately, this kind of instability.
So they're like the referees, but they also have the power to, like, completely change the game whenever they want.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. But now, what happens to the digital wallet? It doesn't just disappear, does it?
Right, because 45 million people are still, like, waiting for their 10,000.
Exactly. The scheme is still in play, but there's a new champion at the helm now, Paetongtarn Shinawatra.
Wait, Shinawatra, as in Thaksin Shinawatra's daughter.
The plot thickens, right?
It's like a political soap opera or something.
Yeah.
So Srettha's out, the daughter's in, but what about the scheme itself? That must have thrown a wrench in the works, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the rollout's already been delayed a couple of times. And all that uncertainty around the funding, not exactly inspiring confidence.
Because we still don't know where the money's coming from, right? Like, are they going to pull it out of a hat?
Pretty much. You know, economists were skeptical before, but now some of them are talking about, full-blown economic meltdown scenarios.
Okay, so maybe not pulling it out of a hat, more like, I don't know, maxing out the national credit card. Is that what we're talking about here?
It's a real possibility. I mean, imagine this massive influx of cash into the economy. Could be good, right? Stimulates spending, helps businesses recover. But what if it doesn't work out that way? What if those fears of inflation, prices skyrocketing, the value of the baht plummeting, what if those fears come true?
We're talking about an economic hangover of epic proportions.
Exactly. And then what? The government's forced to make cuts to essential services, raise taxes, just to pay back its debts. And who's left holding the bag?
The everyday people, the ones this whole thing was supposed to help in the first place. It's kind of tragic, isn't it? Trying to do something good, but potentially making things worse in the long run.
It's a classic dilemma, and it's not just about the numbers, This whole digital wallet saga, it gets at something deeper, something about the soul of Thailand, I think.
What do you mean?
Well, you have this country that's, striving for progress. They want modernization, a place on the world stage, right? They've got so much to offer. But at the same time, there's this struggle for social justice, for making sure everyone benefits. And then you have these other issues, like, remember we talked about gun violence?
The shooting at the mall in Bangkok, yeah.
Yeah.
That was awful. It just felt so, out of place somehow.
Exactly. It shook the nation, and Srettha's government, they responded with this crackdown on illegal firearms, tried to reassure everyone, citizens, tourists, that Thailand was still safe.
Did it work? I mean, were they able to make a dent in the problem?
They did make some progress. Yeah, they seized thousands of illegal guns, made a bunch of arrests too, and they, tightened up the restrictions on gun imports and sales and stuff. But it's an uphill battle for sure. And it really just, reminds you that Thailand's got its share of challenges beyond just the economic stuff.
Right, because it's easy to get kind of laser focused on one thing, like this digital wallet situation.
Yeah.
But the reality is it's all connected, right? These issues, they kind of all feed into each other. Speaking of connections, you mentioned Thailand's got this complicated relationship with China. What did you mean by that?
Well, Thailand is, walking a tightrope, diplomatically speaking. China is a huge economic partner for them, especially with, Srettha and his focus on infrastructure projects. But at the same time, Thailand's got this long history with the U.S., their allies.
Right. The U.S. is kind of like their old friend, but China is the new player in town with deep pockets.
Yeah, exactly. And it creates this balancing act. How do you stay on good terms with both of these superpowers without, making anyone angry?
It's like trying to juggle chainsaws while riding a unicycle.
Yeah.
So how do you do it? How do you even begin to navigate that?
Well, Srettha, he tried to play it down the middle. He met with, Xi Jinping, he met with Joe Biden, kept saying Thailand was neutral, not picking sides.
Playing it safe. Sounds smart. Did it work?
Hey, there were some, let's just say, interesting moments. Like, remember when Srettha invited Putin to Thailand?
Putin, as in Vladimir Putin. But he's,
Public enemy number one, yeah, Putin. And this was, after the arrest warrant and everything.
Whoa, that's a bold move. You sure Srettha was trying to play it safe? That seems a little, tone deaf, given everything happening in Ukraine.
Yeah, it definitely raised some eyebrows in Washington, you could say that. But Thailand, they kind of doubled down. They were like, look, we've got our own interests to consider.
Which is a diplomatic way of saying, we need those Russian tourist dollars.
Basically, yeah, it's realpolitik in action. Sometimes you got to make tough choices, even if they're not, morally pristine. The price of progress and all that.
So we've covered a lot today. The digital wallet, the political drama, the gun violence, even a little international intrigue thrown in for good measure. It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is, and I think it reminds us that, the world is a messy place, right? There are rarely easy answers, and Thailand, they're kind of a microcosm of that. This struggle to find that balance, between progress, sustainability, ambition, and fairness. It's something we're all grappling with in one way or another.
It's like they're holding up a mirror, in a way, to all of us.
Exactly. So yeah, Thailand's future is uncertain, right? But there's this energy there, this drive to keep moving forward. It's fascinating to watch. And honestly, I think we can learn a lot from paying attention to what happens next.
That's a perfect note to end on. So to our listeners, stay curious, stay informed, and let's all try to learn from the twists and turns of this wild ride we call the 21st century.